Hello, I'm Bess Palmisciano, founder of Rain for the Sahel and Sahara. I was traveling with friends in the Ayer Mountains, homeland to many of the Tuareg people of the northern Agadez region. Our guide was a local Tuareg person himself and asked us what we would most like to see on our trip. This was a few days into our time traveling, and we had been fascinated by people we saw along the way. They were walking, sometimes in groups, sometimes alone, in places where there were no paths, no roads. We didn't see any houses or any villages, and we couldn't imagine who they were or where they were going. We asked Musa if we could possibly meet these people. He said this was an unusual request, but he offered to take us to an encampment where many of his family members were staying. We went and asked their permission to pitch our tent next to their residences. They were very warm and welcoming. We spent an evening and a day there. They told us about their food, their drink, their customs. They played music for us. They said that Americans don't know about us, and we want you to know us. The conversation eventually got around to education. Parents there were very frustrated that they wanted education for their children. Many of them had never been to school. Only 10% of nomadic people in Niger at that time had ever attended a public school. But they wanted more for their children. They were frustrated because there was a system of boarding schools for nomadic students in the region. However, the government in recent years had not had adequate funding to support those schools. There was no food there. There were no beds. This was not a place where anyone could leave their child to live. The parents' desire for education for their children really spoke to me. To me, education is the most important thing in our lives. It gives us the ability to understand the world around us, to know ourselves better and understand ourselves, to learn how we can function in that world and what our role might be. All this is lacking for people who don't have this option. We gleefully took over the Agadez Learning Center in the fall of 2013. Students were wonderful, and we were very excited to be giving them this opportunity. We soon realized, though, that we could do more. The first problem we had was that the students frequently fell ill. There was actually no kitchen building at the center. There was just a fire pit behind a straw wall where a cook prepared their meals amidst dust and flies. So our first effort was to raise money to build a kitchen, a nice, clean, sanitary kitchen that addressed our health issues. We also decided that the students needed more than just room and board. Coming to the city for the first time was a huge adjustment. We had one little boy who kept running away, and we didn't imagine where he could be going. We found out that he was running away to the camel market in Agadez. Animals were what he was familiar with. He would go down there and look at the goats and the camels and feel comfortable and at home. We hired a mentor who would spend time with the students, helping them to adjust to the city, to going to another level of education, to living with each other. They were from different ethnic groups, and there were still other ethnic groups at their school. They were big adjustments, and with Azara's help, we were able to overcome them. Having that extra attention in the evenings made a huge difference to our students, most of whom not only succeeded, but were near the top of their classes each year. The center has grown both programmatically and physically. with the help of generous donors, including Rotary clubs, we have been able to not only build that new kitchen, but new dormitories, study rooms where students receive their tutoring lessons at night. When they first arrived at the center, those study rooms were straw huts. The wind and dust came blowing through. They were sitting on the floor. It was a very difficult learning environment. Now there are actual classrooms. We've done this with your support, and we're very, very grateful, as are all of our students.